Hi, welcome to Ty at Home. This is my at-home cooking demonstration. I just have a love for food. I love to eat good and I love to use great ingredients, great products. In Des Moines, Iowa, there is a lot of great stores that you can use, and so I'm going to show you how to use some of those today. I've prepared a lot of things in advance, but I am going to show you how to cook two items, one being quinoa and the other one being a scallop. Both these items are delicate and they're awesome to work with, great in flavor, and in restaurants we like to use them when their seasons come up. So first I'm going to do the quinoa. This is quinoa here. It's a drier grain. It's considered one of the best grains in the world. It's a South American grain. It's high in saturated fats, but it's really low in carbohydrates, so it's considered superior to any other grain. I like to use it more in the spring and in summer because of how light it is, and it accepts lots of flavors really well. So let's begin with that first. What I'm going to do is I have a portable burner here. You can use whatever you have at home. If you have a regular stove, electric burner. The reason why I'm using my portable burner is because I have direct heat electric coils, and those aren't too fun to cook on. So I like to have natural gas, in this case butane, so we're going to start with that. What I've done is in my saute pan I've added a little bit of mushroom butter and then a little bit of grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is an awesome oil to cook with. It's not for deep fat frying, but you can saute with it based on the fact that it is very delicate in flavor, and it also has a higher smoke point, so it's a versatile oil. It can be costly, but a bottle that size that I have will last you for a very long time. So what I've done is I'm going to heat up that oil a little bit, and I'm going to add a small amount of butter, not too much. And you want your heat to low medium, and that should be fine. What we're going to do is we'll let our butter break down, and the reason why I have butter and oil is to keep the butter from burning. So what I'm doing here is a quick saute. This is called sauteing. Low to moderate heat, fat, this being the butter and the oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cook this up a little bit. Now a lot of people when they're cooking, they like to mess with food a lot and play around with it, and what that does is slow down the process to where you want to get to. You should let food naturally take its course and cook, so you get the end result that you're looking for. So since it's been cooking up for a minute or two, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I like to use kosher salt. I would advise that everyone uses kosher salt. They do sell it at your local grocery stores. It's an awesome salt, very versatile. So now that I've seasoned that, you'll notice I didn't add any pepper. Pepper is one of those ingredients that are overused in cooking. It has its place, but the point of pepper is to add heat. I don't want heat in here, so I don't use pepper. Matter of fact, none of these ingredients have pepper on them. I may season the beets with a little bit of pepper, but that would be it. Once again, I want food to taste natural, and I want the flavor of the ingredient that I'm using. So once I've done that, I'm making a parsley quinoa. So this is Italian flat leaf parsley, and I got it from a local store known as Gateway. I'm just going to tear a little bit of this up in here. and add that to there. It's going to give it a great balance, great flavor, a little earthy. And you can put as much as you want. What you should do actually is taste it as you're cooking it. That is the only way you're going to ever know what your food is going to taste like. I'm pretty pleased with what I have right here. It's not over salted, it's not overcooked. I should add too that also quinoa can be bought pre-made or raw in its raw form. If you buy the quinoa in its raw form, what I advise you to do is soak the quinoa in cold water for around 5 minutes. Once you've done that, you want to strain it into a fine mesh strainer, and then you want to do 3 times the amount of water to the quinoa that you've strained out. So if I was cooking up 1 cup of quinoa, I would put it into the boiling water of 3 cups, and you would cook it until quinoa has a circle that appears once it's done all the way. You can also taste it, and it shouldn't have really too much bite to it at all, but it also should not be mushy. So that is how you cook quinoa. Once again, I've already cooked up a little bit. I'm not going to use that one. I just wanted to show you that. So now we're going to do our scallop. So I'm going to get a fresh clean pan. Now this is a scallop. This is an awesome looking scallop. I just purchased a scallop a few hours ago. What you want to look for is no smell, no fishy or rotten smell. You want it to be held together. You also do not want frozen scallops because they've been injected with water. So this is a dry scallop. It's known as a U10 scallop. It's just very flavorful. You want to look for that OPEC look, a little bit of pinkness in it. You can buy these in the shells in different parts of the country. We don't sell them in the shell here in Iowa, but if we did, we would use those. I purchased this at Gateway Market, like I said, for a fairly good price. So we're going to start to cook this. So I got my heat on already, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of grapeseed oil again. And then when I bring that up to heat, you also, whenever cooking any kind of fish, scallop, things of that nature, you want to always try to get water off of it. So what I do is either I bring it out ahead of time, or you take a paper towel from your home that you have probably sitting around and pat it, and you just gotta get the water removed off there. A lot of people don't know that cold product and heat do not go together. So in restaurants, what we like to do is we pull our food out ahead of time. Once your order has came in, we'll pull it out and let it come as close to room temperature as possible. So now my oil is hot, and I can tell the oil is hot by it starts to wave a little bit. Like I said, grapeseed oil has a higher smoke point, so I definitely don't want it to get to smoking temperature, but I don't want it to be cold either. So if you have a problem figuring out how else to test your oil, sometimes you can drop little pieces of salt in there, and it will react with the oil. It'll just tell you that it's ready to be used. So I've got the oil hot, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the scallop. I'm going to lightly season it with a little bit of kosher salt again, very lightly. And I'm going to place it in the center of the pan. And what you're looking for is that sound. You want the sound of a sear. So with something like scallops, if you begin to move the scallop around, you'll tear the scallop because you haven't allowed the sugars to caramelize that are naturally in the scallop to release itself from the pan. So you scallop this side, 2.5 to 3 minutes is about the time that it should take to really get a good caramelization on it. And you don't want to cook a scallop all the way through either. A lot of people have the misconception that a scallop should be rubbery, comparable to shrimp, but it should not. Neither one of those items have to be cooked all the way through. So we're gonna check it. I'm pretty sure it's not ready yet, so we'll look at it. And I was right, it's not really ready yet, so that's okay. Now I'm gonna move this along a little bit. I want a little bit more oil on there. Once you turn the scallop, you do not want to put it in the same spot. So once you turn it, you want to put it on a fresh spot where the oil is, because you don't want anything that's been left over from the pan to get onto the other scallop. Also, it'll slow down your sear, because the caramel is already on the pan. So this one, I'd say, is about ready. You have your own preference. You can have a hard sear, light sear. This is a light sear. A little harder sear to be a little browner. I prefer my scallops a little less cooked than some people might. Also, people put you may find people put butter in their scallops to finish them and baste them, and that's fine. I prefer my scallop to taste like a scallop rather than melted butter. I think melted butter has its place, but not on scallops all the time. So now that that's going, we'll let that finish up. And typically a scallop this size, you can cook it here on the stove or on the burner all the way, and that's going to take you a little while, and chances are you might burn it before it actually gets cooked to the proper temperature. What I like to do sometimes also, for somebody, say like my wife, she is more of a picky eater, so we'll turn the stove on to around 350. I'll sear it both sides, or sear it one side, and I'll leave it in the pan and put it into the stove, and I'll leave it in there for 2 to 3 more minutes at 350, and by that time the scallop's perfect. Okay, so this is our scallop. It's lightly seared. And I'm going to turn the heat off now and let it set there. And we're going to start to plate. Now, plating is a very important part in our business. People eat with their eyes a lot of times before they've even tasted the food. If a plate looks good, your brain's going to tell you that it probably tastes good. So I'm going to plate this up, and you'll see how we do this in the restaurants. So what I have here, what I'm putting on the plate right now, is a carrot coulis. Now what a coulis is typically a thick puree of such ingredient. What I've done here is I've taken a little bit of carrot, I cooked them down with vegetable stock, and I really wanted to maintain the color and integrity of the carrot, so I did not add any milk or anything. Milk and cream can pull away from the colors of your ingredients, so I like to keep things as bright as possible, and natural as possible. So this is cooked down a little bit of vegetable stock, a little bit of onion, cooked it down till the carrot was palatable, soft, and then I used an immersion blender or a handheld stick blender to blend it up. So what I've done is put 3 of those on there. And I'm going to pull this scallop off right now too. And that's beautiful. And we'll let it rest here. Okay, so we have the scallop done. It looks good. I'd eat that actually just the way it is. So what I'm going to do is take some of that quinoa that we made earlier. I'm going to place that right here. And, you know, plating is all about fun. Obviously, you don't have to plate your food like this, but it's fun for you to look at that and just have fun with cooking. Cooking is serious, and we take it seriously, but you should also have fun with it. So I put a little bit of that quinoa on there. I'm going to take the scallop, and usually I would use a paper towel, but I'm just going to use a piece of parchment paper to get some of the fat off. I'm going to place that right on top of the quinoa, just like that, and that's perfect. So once we place that on there, I have beets also here. I love beets. A lot of people grew up on beets and don't like it. Grandmothers overdid it with them. These are local beets. How do you prepare these? Excuse me. Is that you cook the beets in aluminum foil with a little bit of oil, a little salt, a little pepper. You can throw a little herb in there if you want to put parsley, if you want to put thyme in there. Beets absorb flavor really well. You'll cook the beets depending on the size. Say a medium beet, you'll cook it for an hour and a half, until you can take a knife and push it all the way through. If you can put that knife all the way through and it doesn't give you resistance, your beet is done. You remove the beet from the oven. You let it cool until you can handle it, and the skin should fall off by itself. You will have to push it off, but it should fall off. You don't even need a knife to pull the skin off. So that is how you cook a beet. Now, these here are awesome beets right here. So we're going to take that right there. We're going to put that beet there. Next is white radishes. I also got these from our local grocery store, Gateway Market. How I prepared these today, these are cooked in a milk bath and a little bit of salt. I blanched them for 10 minutes in milk. And the reason why I used milk is, one, flavor, two, is the color. As you can see, it's very, very white, pretty close to that plate. And the radishes taste awesome. So we're gonna put this on here. And cooking is all about minimum ingredients for me. A lot of places believe in overcomplicating plates and too much on the plate. I do not personally believe that. I really enjoy the bare minimum when I'm cooking. Alright, so what I have here, this is my fun aspect of things today. These I try to sous vide at home, and what this is a cucumber. Your everyday basic cucumbers. But what I did was I stuck them into a plastic bag, added a little bit of oil, a little seasoning, a little salt, and a little bit of acid. You can choose to use a little bit of vinegar. You can use a little white wine. You can use lemon juice if you prefer. I used a little bit of white wine. Then what I did was close the bag until I could barely get a straw inside of it, and I sucked the air out of it. This technique is as close as get to sous vide as you can get at home, unless you have the equipment. I do not have a sous vide machine or cryovac machine. So I wanted to have a little fun, and so I compressed these. So these are what are known as compressed pineapples or cucumbers. A little bit of background on sous vide. Sous vide is a technique that we use in kitchens to remove the air from a product so that it does not break down, and we also use it to intensify flavors. We also can control the texture of the food, the finished product. So whether I put this in a certain temperature of boiling water for 10 minutes or 45 minutes, will vary and will give me a different outcome with the product that I'm trying to use. So this is a compressed cucumber. And what we're going to do is set that right up there. Okay. These here are mushrooms, matsutake mushrooms, or hen of the woods mushrooms is what we usually refer to them in the restaurant industry. They're awesome, earthy mushrooms. just full of flavor. And all I did here was, before I cooked the quinoa, I cooked this in a little bit of grapeseed oil and a little bit of unsalted butter. All this food, by the way, is cooked with unsalted butter. There is no margarine involved. The butter contains just awesome protein in it and flavor, whereas margarine is oil, basically oil. So I always recommend that you use all natural unsalted butter, and you should use unsalted because you know you don't really know the amount of salt that's going to be in the butter when you try to use it. So what we have here is a hint of the wood mushrooms, and I'm going to do is just set one right up here, and I'll take another one, put it here to the side. I'll put another one out here. And like I said, food's all about fun. You know, you cook the way you want to cook, and you do it the way you want to do it. And so I like that. I think that looks good. That's plenty of mushrooms. You don't need too much of it on there. Okay. Next, what I've done is made tomato petals. Now, what these are your basic organic everyday tomatoes. What I did was take the back end of the tomato, the end that doesn't have the stem on it, and I put a very small cross on them, and that's known as scoring. I set that into a pan of boiling water that's been salted. I left it in there for 10 seconds, 15 seconds max. I removed it from the pan, and I put it into a pot of iced water, known as an ice bath. I let that set in there just long enough to cool the tomato, not more than a minute, and then I remove the outside skin of the tomato. Once I remove the outside skin of the tomato, I cut the tomato in quarters using that guide, that score that I did, and then I flip the tomato on its backside and I remove the innards or the guts of the tomato, and I discarded those. From that stage, I took those pieces, I tossed them in a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar, pretty much equal parts, but you really want to be careful on your salt amount. I let them set for 24 hours. Once I let them set for 24 hours, I put them off the refrigerator. I bake them about 325 degrees, and then until they become crisp and almost like candy. And so this is the end result of a tomato petal. And so far we have that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of fleur de sel, or blue sapphire sea salt. This is kind of a special kind of sea salt because it has blue salt in there, blue crystals in it. It is from France, which I recommend. It's very good salt. France has awesome salt. A lot of awesome products come out of France. I'm going to season this just a little bit on the plate, every little bitty thing, just a tad bit. Here I just have some greens. I'm going to use fresh parsley, which you can just put that anywhere on your plate, really. We'll put that there. Also have some rocket, or known as baby arugula. And what I'll do is I'll take that and I'll put that there. Like I said, nothing fancy, just good and clean and minimal. You don't need too much on here. This is something in a restaurant, something like this. I'd make this an appetizer, and I'd probably have more than one scallop on it typically, but that's what we're doing today. So for the finishing touches, what I have is a little bit of Hungarian paprika, and I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to go outside here on the line right here. What that does is, 1, a little bit more flavor, 2, color. So, scallop, quinoa, beets, arugula, hen of the woods, mushrooms, carrot, tomato, cucumber, and white radish. Thank you for tuning in to my demo. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And this is Cooking with Ty.